you guys want to come in, grab a seat. Good morning, good morning. Welcome. Welcome to Catalyst. My name is Jill Sasser. I'm the Love Our Kids Director for Love Stanislaus County, and we are so glad that you're here. If you are new to Catalyst, just to tell you a little bit about the purpose and the hope. Purpose of Catalyst is to be a place of community conversations and connections that matter. This is a safe space to safe space to explore issues that face our community. We're a diverse group of people with different issues and perspectives that work together to benefit our community. And our hope is that you will connect, build trust, and work together to impact our community for everyone's benefit. You can follow us on social media. Oh, sorry, that was bad. Are you doing slides? Yeah, okay. Anyway, follow us on social media. Full disclosure, I was reading through this and I was like, do I follow them on social media? I didn't. So now I follow City Ministry Network on Facebook, and you can as well. There's a sign-in sheet at your table, so be sure to put your name down so that we know that you are here. And sponsors, we were so thankful for our sponsors, and we want to specifically highlight and say thank you to Stanislaus County Affordable Housing Corporation for their sponsorship. STANCO's mission is to promote the construction and development of affordable housing opportunities for the residents of Stanislaus County. So thank you to STANCO. Yeah, we're good. Okay, Love Modesto. I wanted a woo for that, Marvin. Thank you. Love Modesto signups are live. It's going to be on April 25th. You can go on there on lovemodesto.com and see all the different projects. We really encourage you to get groups together to sign up. It is an amazing opportunity not just to do the work that's serving the community, but also an opportunity to come together and work alongside other people that care, and a great way to connect and be together. So please sign up for Love Modesto. We're going to go into our table talks this morning, and we have questions up here, so you can spend time going through these two questions. This morning we're going to be hearing about the world of foster care, and so obviously these are questions connecting to that. Please make sure everyone gets a chance to discuss at your table together, and I'll be back up.
Hey, Jill.
Okay, we're going to come back up here. Hope you had good discussion. I'm so sorry, Mike. I'm really trying not to make that happen. I'm just going to go this way. Okay. I get the pleasure of introducing our speakers this morning. And I'm going to bring up in a little bit Nancy, Megan, and Karen. I adore these women. I have had the pleasure of working with them a lot with my program, and they've supported me in the work that we do. And also just Megan and Karen have been important to me because as fellow adoptive moms, we get to talk and they give me wisdom. But I just have admired them over the years because in their work, they continue to have passion and knowledge and insight into this very difficult world of foster care. And they show up and they keep teaching and instructing, and I just really appreciate them. So to give you some background, Nancy Griggs has been with Stanislaus County Child Welfare for 21 years and has worked in various roles in the child welfare system. She has served 9 years in her current role as recruiter and trainer for resource caregivers to children and youth in foster care. Megan Belden has been a foster and adoptive parent for 11 years and has been in her current position as resource family mentor in Stanislaus County Child Welfare for 6 years. And Karen Pishney started fostering 16 years ago and has been in her current position as resource family mentor in Stanislaus County Child Welfare for going on 10 years. So please join me in welcoming up Nancy, who's going to start off.
Thank you, Jill. Welcome. Hello. So I am working with the Resource Family Program. Just to let you know, it started in 2017. We were sort of, the state decided to put all of these three parties together, the foster families, relative caregivers, and adoptive families. Previously, relative caregivers didn't have to go through a program of training. They just we came out to their house and did a quick assessment, did a live scan and fingerprinting and all of that, and then they became caregivers. So the state decided to put everyone together through the same process. So it may be someone that's related to the child, which really now we're doing a lot of work getting relatives to care for kids, more so than foster parents. They may be a member of the community that wants to care for a child in need, which is the old name foster parent, which is now resource parent, which hasn't really caught on like wildfire. When I go out in the community, everybody's like, what's a resource parent? You give out resources? So just so you know, now you're informed as what that means. Here's our longest acronym in child welfare. NRFM is a non-related extended family member, like a coach, a teacher, a neighbor, something like that, a non-related person that knows the child. And they all might have different ideas about permanency for the child. So I'm the top speaker as far as setting the groundwork for what we're going to talk about today. And those are the 5 myths that people who come into my class, people that come into my class have different ideas about foster care and misconceptions about what it is. And some of them come in hot, they're mad and angry at the system, I understand. But I just kind of want to talk about the reality versus the myths to kind of set us up for getting to our hopeful part. Until we do the realistic part, it's hard to really talk about hope. So the first one is the goal of foster care is to remove young children from unsafe families and environments and find them an adoptive family. So there's 2 parts of that that are actually myths. It's not just young children in foster care. Actually, 6 months ago, there were 413 kids in care, and out of the 0 to 5 category, there were only 71 children. So the bulk of children that stay in foster care for a long period of time are actually older children that don't exit the system. And then as far as finding them an adoptive family, that's another big misunderstanding. We don't go right to adoption. Our first goal in foster care is to reunify the family. People obviously have mixed feelings about that. Even relatives have real mixed feelings about that after working with the family members and seeing what they've gone through for years and years. However, that's what we're charged with by the state. So secondly, flip my page here. Most children are placed in foster care due to physical, sexual, or emotional abuse. Actually, 87% of our kids that come into care are found to be neglected, not abused necessarily, although neglect is a form of abuse. So neglect comes from substance abuse that's untreated, mental health that's untreated, or domestic violence. It's basically not being able to parent your child, having something so big, a barrier so big in your life that you can't do the basic needs of the child. The third one is a sad one, and I really don't like it. I'm sure you don't like it either. The idea that foster children are troubled, broken, and are juvenile delinquents. So we all know that, even in movies and popular culture, that's sort of the idea that these children are sad and they've got so many difficulties may be true. Yes, they have a lot of trauma, but we remember that it's to no fault of their own. They're not damaged individuals. They're individuals that can overcome this, especially with the help of a meaningful, caring adult in their life. They want to live normal lives. They want to have driver's licenses. They want to play sports with their friends. They want to do things all other kids do. And foster care is obviously sometimes a real barrier to that. So instead of focusing on what is wrong with them, we want to see them as deserving children. Fourth, the idea that resource parents have to be a specific type of person and have to have a specific type of home actually is not true. There's no such thing as a perfect or traditional foster parent or resource parent. I always say AKA foster parents. So foster parents might be single or married. They might live with unmarried partners. They may be straight. They may identify as LGBTQ. They may be homeowners. They may be renters. They may work. They may stay at home. They may or may not have their own children in their home. They may or may not have pets in the home. They may be old or young. I have a lot of people in the community when I'm out recruiting that said, I'm too old to do this, We've had 80-year-old relatives do it. We've had 80-year-old grandparents take care of their children. So it's really not about your age, it's about your ability, your capacity to take in children. We have a place for all people, from diverse races and religions as well. And we like that we have that diversity, obviously. But you do have to be 21 years old. You have to pass a background check and medical screening. You need to have an independent source of income, and you need to have enough physical space, obviously. Then you're going to have to go through training with me, the mentors, home assessment and interviews, things like that. Finally, my favorite one when I go in the community is to ask people who come up to the table, what do you think happens to kids when they age out of foster care, when they're 18 years old? And about 9 out of 10, maybe 10 out of 10 people say, it's over. They're just out on the street. There's nothing more for them. I'll tell you, gladly I'll tell you that's wrong. So as of 2012, a bill, the Assembly Bill 12 passed for kids to stay in foster care voluntarily past 18. That's something they get to decide to do if they want to, which is a really wonderful thing your tax dollars are doing, so we can all celebrate that. They provide a stipend so that they can have housing. They get an assigned social worker that will follow them through and support them. But they have things to do too. They have to finish their GED or enroll in a vocational program or MJC or Stan State, something like that, and or work part-time, 80 hours a month, which is nice, 20 hours a week. I would love that. Participate in job-seeking activities. So they may, when they first come into the program, they might not have all those things in place, but the social worker helps them work on those things. Or they might be disabled and unable to do those things. So it's obviously improving the outcomes of children in foster care, it's keeping them off the street, and also and out of homelessness. A lot of them exit the program and say, I don't want to do that. I'm good. I don't need you guys to tell me what to do, and I'm an adult. Then they decide to come back, and that's okay. There's no 3 strikes, you're out. You only get 1 chance. We let them come back in. It's an open door policy. And I think that's all I have for you today, so I look forward to hearing from our other speakers. Thank you.
Okay, I get the fun part of talking about the good news of foster care now that Nancy's done all that. So we'll start with the Quality Parenting Initiative. And QPI is a philosophy and approach to child welfare where we're looking at it as a team where we have like the birth parents, the resource parents, and the social workers all working together for the good of the child. And so it's very child-centered and going, how can we come together as a team to help these kids really thrive and grow? And so that's rooted in 3 things. It's rooted in excellent parenting and making sure that we prioritize meaningful relationships. If they have people that they're already close to, making sure that we prioritize that. It's rooted in research and saying like, hey, there's a lot of scientific research out there that we want to build policy off of. Instead of just kind of winging it, we want to make sure that we're building it off of something. And then it's rooted in making sure that we bring the right people to the table and that we hear from lived experience as we're building policy. So making sure that we have foster youth, foster parents in the room talking about building policy instead of just making choices on their behalf, like making sure that they have a voice. But the main thing about QPI that is so cool is it really prioritizes like a co-parenting relationship where the foster parent and the birth parent are going to like work together. And I feel like it kind of brings that human aspect back into child welfare where you're going to look at the birth parent as the expert on their child, and you're going to make sure that you're like offering like respect and compassion and dignity and really trying to work together and build a relationship with the hope that it will really smooth transitions for the kids, that it will lessen trauma when possible, and that hopefully they'll continue to be a person in that child's life even after they reunify and go home, and not only the child's life, but the family's life, and really be able to support. And so what that might look like is, I know for one of my little foster sons, as I was getting to know his mom when we were working together, he was only 2 years old, and he looked at us at one point and he said, my moms are friends. And like even at 2, he could see like how important that was, that we both we could find love for each other because we both had love for him, and how important that was, and that we were able to kind of continue that relationship once he went home and be a support. So that's something that we're really encouraging like our resource families to do. And it will kind of bleed into a lot of the other ones I'm talking about, because it's kind of a philosophy, and so we're kind of putting everything through that lens as we do other things at the county. Another one is that we're prioritizing kinship care, which means that we're looking for family to place with when possible. Going back to QPI, research shows that placement stability is really high when they're placed with family. And so we're trying to make sure that if there's family, and by family, it could also be found family. So it could be like a coach, a neighbor, a friend, somebody that knows the child already, prioritizing that relationship. And if they can be there, trying to make that possible. And that might look like helping them get their homes ready, or like making sure if they have some barriers that we help them get through those barriers so that they can be licensed to be placed. We had a sibling set come through care a few years ago, and they were just the sweetest little kids, and really close to Karen and I's heart, because we saw them bounce around a lot, unfortunately, just with different circumstances. They were with family members, and then they had to be moved to community members. There was a point at which they had to be split into different homes. So as things went along, the kids were kind of starting to develop behavior, because behavior is just a form of communication a lot of times, and they're just kind of communicating that they were struggling. And the county continued to look for family, and eventually they found an aunt that hadn't been looked at before, and she was appropriate, wonderful lady. And so she got licensed. She took placement of the kids, all three of them together, so they get to be together again. And she took placement of all of them. And there was some phone calls of like, whoa, this is a lot of behavior. I don't know if I can do this. This might be too much. And there was some really, really hard moments. But Auntie kind of just like looked at the resources that were around her, and she did her best to kind of use all the resources that she had. And like, I just talked to her the other day, and the kids are thriving. They're doing so well, and they're like finding their own strengths and really kind of having their own personalities. Like the oldest one has like stopped parenting the younger ones and just gets to be a kid again, which is so awesome. But what this aunt will say to you really quickly is like, she couldn't do it without a village. And for her, her village looked like some really great teachers who were like, yeah, I get it. I get that the kids have to miss school every week for visitation, and we're gonna work with you on that. And it meant like a church family that really stepped around her, and especially for her little guy, who didn't have a man in his life, like became like a father figures to him, and really like took that seriously. And so just like an encouragement to you is like to be somebody's village. If you're a teacher, if you're go to church with somebody, if you're somebody's neighbor, to really like come around that family, because it has made the world of difference. And when we see those kids now, they're just like they're just glowing, and they're just have this whole other air about them, and it's so beautiful. And she kind of gave that gift to them, as well as like the village around her. Continuing on, prioritizing family maintenance. What this looks like is that we're seeing families that are having a struggle and that are having a hard time, and we're trying to reach them before it gets to a point where we need to remove the child. So maybe if there's like financial insecurity or housing insecurity, trying to put supports around them, so that initially we're not removing if we don't need to, but that we can support them on the front end when possible. Extra supports for youth in care and resource families. We're trying to offer different free events that they can come to, whether it's going to the Modesto Children's Museum or Dutch Hollow, or we throw a big holiday party actually over in the pavilion, and just kind of offering some events where they can just come have fun together as a family, and even bringing QPI back into that. We're inviting their birth families to come when possible and when appropriate, so that they can all spend time together and have that experience together. And then Nancy also mentioned our AB-12 program, which is like a program that helps youth as they're leaving care and kind of gives them supports. And then we also have we have a program called ILP that Karen will share about in a little bit, but there's lots of different supports for youth in care. And then also, I didn't have this one on here. I accidentally didn't have it on here, but continued connections and supports post-reunification. And that is just the hope that if there's that good connection between foster families and birth families, that there'll be that continued connection afterwards, and that there'll be continued support. I have a family that I've worked with, and their little girl reunified about 2 years ago, and they have helped mom get her license. They've helped mom get a car. And they said, we thought we were going to adopt a little girl, but we actually adopted a whole family. And now here we have the mom who really hadn't ever really had much of a mom in her own life, and little girl, and they go to their family events, they go to their Thanksgivings and their Christmases, and so she's really pulled the whole family in, which is such a beautiful thing. So just making sure they have those continued supports. We have another social worker that, or we have another foster parent who fosters a lot of older kids and teens and young adults, and even though he doesn't adopt them and that, you know, they go along their way and do life, he's the first one to throw them a wedding shower or host their wedding and just do all those things and be a landing spot for them, because as adults, you know, the minute you turn 18, there's just this magical ability to be super independent. They still need help, they still need support, so he's just kind of been that support for them. And then fostering, oh, it was on there, just kidding. Okay, fostering secure attachment. The first year is so vital in kids learning attachment, and that is kind of, it's so important that they will feel like when they have a need, that their need will be met, and that when they cry, they'll be answered. Like, that is so significant for them, and it's really the basis of all human relationships, and they build that within the first year with their primary caregiver. That helps to get established. And so that is something that can be built later, but it's really important in that first year. And we have this wonderful foster mom who's taken over 50 babies in the last 3 years. And like, that is her main goal, is just kind of, can I teach them how to attach? Can I teach them that their needs will be met, so that wherever they go next, because she's not an adoptive home, she's an emergency care home, but wherever they go next, that they'll know that an adult can be trusted and that their needs will be met, and that those skills are very, science says that those skills are very transferable. So then hopefully if they bond and their needs are met by that foster parent, then when they go home to mom or dad, that they'll be able to attach so much easier. So that is just another awesome thing that's happening. So there's a lot of really great things that is happening in our county and in the foster care world that we just wanted to share with you. And now Karen's going to share with you just some ways that maybe you can be involved.
Now that Megan made me emotional, which is very typical of me to cry right when I'm going to talk. I know, it's actually very normal. I call my coworkers my emotional support coworkers, and I say, you know, when you got hired, you had no idea this was part of your role, is to emotionally support me through all of my meltdowns. Okay, I'm going to share with you opportunities to make an impact. I know that, we are not here to try to convince you to be a resource parent. Would I love for you to show up at the next training that we do? Yes, I would, because I do believe there are so many people that really don't think they have what it takes, and they do have what it takes. Sorry. David, I thought I was loud. Okay. I think that, as Nancy shared, there's, I have one family that I've been working with for a long time, and she is a spitfire older lady, and you would never tell by looking at her that she could raise a tiny little human. And she has done such a wonderful job with this little one that I've gotten to see her raise for the last 7 years. And so if it has ever been tugging on your heart, I just highly suggest you checking it out. And we talked about, it's not always long term. Sometimes kids need a place short term. Sometimes kids need a weekend home for respite so that their resource parents can get a break and keep going on with this. We have a lot of youth, as Nancy shared about our older youth. Not all of them are looking for a parent. Some of them need just a safe place to live and learn to be an adult and launch into adulthood. I have an almost 19-year-old right now, and I cannot fathom him trying in this world today to launch on his own without any support, without any soft landing place or people to freak out to when life, goes nuts. So I highly encourage you just to think about it. And if it's not you, to think through, who do you know? Who do you have influence over in your life that you're like, you know what, this isn't my role? Because right now, it's not my role right now. I'm not a current resource parent right now. It's not the place where I am right now in my life. But I do know other people that I have influence over, right, that I can share this with, like today. The other way that you can be a part is with Jill, with Love Our Kids program. I say it wrong every time. Kids program, through Love Stanislaus. But there are so many opportunities to be involved, from donating senior pictures, paying for a youth in foster care to get their senior pictures taken. If you have not had a teen girl, oh my goodness, they talk about senior pictures all 4 years of their high school experience. They talk about what they're gonna wear. They show you pictures about where they're gonna take their senior pictures. How do I know? Because I have a current teen girl who has told me many times about all of the things she's going to do with the senior picture. It's a big deal to youth. And to value them in that way, to be able to say, I can pay $40 for a youth to have senior pictures taken. So that's something that you can talk to Jill about. The other way is Jill, the Love Stanislaus, they partner with Stanislaus County. Stanislaus County contracts with them. Sorry, I'm going to get this all messed up. I told you I'd mess up the wording. They contract with Love Stanislaus Kids program to be able to provide furniture and housing items for foster youth that are going to go back home with their birth parents. That is incredibly important, because part of a birth parent being able to reunify with their children is to be able to show, I have adequate housing, I have furniture for them, I have a crib. But when you do not have resources around you, when you have not had a stable environment to grow up in, or stable people around you supporting you through that, baby showers, all those things that help provide all those items, you're on your own to figure it out. And that is where the Love Kids program comes in to help support. So social workers are going to send in referrals to Jill, and Jill is looking for those people in the community to connect with her and provide those resources. So you can, this should be on your table, maybe in the front of your table. You can use that QR code. I'm horrible at QR codes. I'm sure many of you are much better at them than me, but you can use that to get more information. Another way is to become a court-appointed special advocate. So on this paper here on your table, we're just walking through this basically right now. And that is just one way that you can get involved if that's something that you want to do. It is an intense process of training, but you can make a difference in the life of a child. And then donate gently used children's books. We have a little library outside of like the visitation area that Megan and I and my coworkers, we work to kind of stock so that when kids come for visitation with their parents and they're kind of waiting out there, they have something to do. Tickets for Dutch Hollow Farms, because as we said, we try to go a couple times a year with all the resource families. It's quite expensive, but that's something that you can donate towards. Gift cards, we talked about, we do our big holiday event. We love to give gift cards to each and every family. And new stuffed animals for our resource family events, because again, that's something that we like to give out every time we have our holiday party. Another way, if you guys want to see, on your tables, there's this Life Labs workshop volunteers needed. So Espirinet here in town on J Street, they have a youth drop-in center. And at that center, they have an independent living skills program. And they contract with Stanislaus County, well, Stanislaus County contracts with them to provide job skills training to youth in foster care, to give mentorship to youth in foster care, and it is so vitally important. When Nancy talked about back in the day, there wasn't any of these supports. So 20 plus years ago, I was able to work for an foster family agency here in town. And I had the best job in the entire world because I wasn't a social worker. I was able to just be with kids all of the time, one-on-one working with them. And these were the hardest to place kids. These were the kids who had been in 13 plus different homes by the time I was working with them. And so they had no soft landing spot, right? When they were 18, that program that Nancy talked about didn't exist. They were literally on their own. And majority of them did not have a connection to a resource parent, foster parent, that was going to keep in contact with them. And so I think if you can imagine that, like I talked about, I can't imagine my almost 19-year-old just being on his own trying to figure it out. Yesterday, and I'm going to try to get through this, I know I'm supposed to be quick, but yesterday I stood at the grave of one of those former foster youth that I got to work with. And I was thinking about, I went there because I was thinking about her, and not to exploit her story, but to be able to say, what do I want to share with you about her story, about why her story matters, about why I have her picture up at our desk so I remember all of the time, why am I here? I'm here for kids like her. You said it wasn't going to beep, Mike. I heard a beep. And so I think for her, you know, I got to pick her up from school like 3 days a week. I got to spend hours with her for a couple years of her life. I really, really got to know her. She was that kid that got picked on. She was that kid that just never had a friend. She just struggled. She had been through so much trauma and so much hard in her life. And the thing is that, like, I would look at her and I'd be like, you are so much braver than I am. Like, she got up every day knowing that she was utterly alone in the world at 14 years old. Alone. There was nobody. There was nobody for her. Her resource parent was not there for her. She was utterly alone. And so when she made it to college, it was like, I was out of her life by then. I had moved on to a different role, and she moved on to college. She beat all these odds. And then at 19, she died alone, because when the crap hit the fan, she didn't have anybody to call to say, hey, life's getting really hard. I don't know what to do about this, right? She needed those people in her life, those safe mentors or a resource parent. And so, you know, kind of how Megan talked about, it doesn't have to be being a resource parent. Again, I will keep tooting my horn for that. I would love for you to be. But being a safe person, whether that be a neighbor, whether that be if in a church or organization or wherever you are located, whatever circle of influence you have, like choosing to say, like, these kids are out there. They are in our community, and it is our responsibility to care for them. They are growing up next to our children, and they matter so much. They matter so much. Their lives matter so much. And so that's what I want to share with you about Sweet Kay, because she impacted my life so deeply. She changed the trajectory of my life. I am literally standing here today because of her, because my life was on a different path. But when I met her, I realized, like, how can I not become a resource parent? How can I not care about kids in care? How can I not? And even when I wasn't able to be a resource parent anymore, how can I not speak about something like this? Because it matters so deeply. So we would love to talk with you more. We have more information at the back table. You guys are welcome to come and talk with us. We're pretty open books, I think, about it. So thank you for having us today. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, ladies, so much for sharing. This is something that's very near and dear to my heart, so I have a lot of things I would love to say, but we're just going to let you guys discuss these questions. And again, like Karen and Megan and Nancy all touched on, even if you're never going to be a resource parent, don't think that foster care is just something that's over there and that it doesn't really impact you, because no matter what space that you are in, foster care affects all parts of our society. And so just take what you heard today, remember that, learn from it, know that this is a thing that always needs to be understood, educated on, and supported with. So just take some time to discuss these questions at your table, and then we'll be wrapping up in a little bit.
I'm going to ask Courtney Kaufman and Jill Sasser, come on up. Yes, turn it on. How's that? Woo. All right. Courtney, come on up, and Jill. Before we have the women say a couple things, because I want just to put a capstone on what we've been talking about, I want to just go around the tables and just share, one of you from every table, and I'll come to you with the microphone. Who's a person who's impacted your life? And in one or two words, what did they say? Or what did they do for you? What was their impact? So who wants to be a pioneer catalyst? Okay, Dina. Okay, now I'm going to hold the microphone, so don't take me personal, as I won't let anybody hold it. Yes, ma'am.
Her name's Heidi, and she was the lady that took me to church when I was a teenager.
All right. Gosh, that was just recently. Aren't you just still a teenager? Somebody else. Who impacted your life and how did they do it? Yeah, Jose Moreno.
That's it. You had to point at me. What was the question? In one word? One word is hard, but Coach Brown for high school football, he just wouldn't let me give up.
All right, wouldn't let you give up. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Jose. A couple of others. Yes, sir. All right, last one here. Aiden.
So my uncle was huge for me. He was like a second dad when my parents weren't able to be there. He showed me love unconditionally and provided for me. So I'll forever remember it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I've asked at the end here to ask these two moms, would we call them resource parents? Okay. You're adopted parents. Okay. So just have them put a capstone in how to make this, again, from their story, just personal. So I'm going to, Courtney first and then Jill. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Oh
yeah, we're supposed to.
Yes, both. Do both.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I'm a board member, but I'm also actually an active foster parent. And so just had a foster son reunified with his family in January. And so I figured it was a good one that I make sure I get some help with childcare to be here. I was thinking about kind of what you ladies were talking about. Not everybody is called to have a child living in their home. But I can tell you, even as somebody that you would look at and say, oh, she's got resources, she's fine, she doesn't need anything, it's not true. There are always ways that you can come around to people. Childcare alone, having to find somebody who will take my kid to school once a month so I could come to Catalyst, right? There are ways that we do need support, and it's hard to find sometimes. And so, as simple as, can you sponsor a month of house cleaning for a parent that's overwhelmed and can't keep up? Right? Could you send a DoorDash gift card so they don't have to buy dinner, they can have dinner one night and not have to cook? Because sometimes I don't even know what we're supposed to make and I only have one that I gotta feed. Right? Are there things that you can do? Even the fact of I've watched this happen where you get a new placement and there's not really meal trains that are started for you. We do that for new babies. Right? This is a new kid coming in. Is there a baby shower for the family that has taken in someone new? Is there, just even thinking about those kinds of things, even to, I work at a small nonprofit and we have some baby bonding policies. I've been able to influence that it's not just when you adopt, but it's when you're placed with a kid, because that's when the bonding happens. Adoption happens 6 months plus down the road. The bonding has already happened. So even influencing decisions in your workplaces about how you're privileging the foster parents that we think they have resources. Oh, the county takes care of them. They don't take care of everything. That's one thing. So I worked as a social worker prior, became a therapist, then became a foster parent. And I do know this world, and still I was shocked by the fact that they'd kind of drop off a kid and say, here you go, good luck. We'll see you in a month. And you're like, oh my gosh, I got to keep them alive now. There's a lot that goes into that that's overwhelming and hard. And sometimes those small, simple things that you wish you would have had when you had a new kid and didn't know what to do, sometimes those are the things that matters deeply, right? So it doesn't have to be taking in a child. It can be simple, small things that make actually a world of difference. So that's really all I had to share.
Well said. And I'll just add, Nancy kind of touched on this at the beginning, but I was also a CASA, and something that I was really struck by, I knew this, but it was good to hear, and I want to keep saying it, is no child is in foster care because of something they did. It is not their doing. It is not there because they were just a bad kid or were just too difficult. They do tend to have challenges because they've been really screwed over, the best way to say it. So when I brought my babies home, they were little, but my oldest, she was a little tiny toddler, she was rough. It was rough. She was a traumatized kid. She had a reason to be difficult. She had a tough time. And so just knowing that and continually reminding myself, this isn't about who she is, this is about what's happening to her, and I just need to continue to love on her and be safe for her. And doing that for my other two when I was a CASA, same with those kids. I saw, people, adults around them expect so much of these kids and expect them to behave a certain way and to pull it together and to be better. And I just was like, they have no reason to be better. They've been disappointed, they have been hurt over and over again. So I think just always keeping in mind, it's easy to have that stigma with foster kids of oh, those are the troubled kids. They're not. They're just kids that need help and support and love and care. So that's all I would say for you.
Thank you, too. Thank you. And I want to encourage you, if there's somebody in the room that might be interested in being a resource parent or even adoption, These two would be terrific, Jill and Courtney, and so just to help you, and of course the team. I was thinking about what is in my heart and what is in my hand. And when it comes to this, not everybody, all of you are leaders of leaders, and you all have a lot going on, and you would tend to want to help everybody, some of us. Well, only what is in your heart and only what's in your hand. And just sometimes you can't do everything. So first I'm going to give you that emotional release, because I know what I have in my heart are these children. What I have in my hand is catalyst and relationships. So I was talking to somebody the other day, and I don't have a lot of money, but what I do have is my relationships and trust relationships. So here's relationships. Here's people you can connect with. So what is in your hand, heart, and what is in your hand? My wife is just a saint, and she had interactions with some women, and there's a woman in one of her small groups that she's a part of that has 2 foster kids, and she's by herself. So next thing we know, I'm driving across town with her to pick up 7 bags of laundry, because she just didn't have time and energy, and she's working full time, and candidly she works in San Jose. So imagine taking the train to San Jose and back. So by the time she gets home, man, her kids she doesn't see them very often. And of course, I'm a baby. Oh, really? Oh my gosh. So now I said, oh my gosh, oh yes. No, I was a big baby. So 7 bags of laundry, and together we did the laundry, and then we packed it up at late, maybe 9, 10 o'clock at night. I think it was 9:30 or something, and we drove it across back town, folded it in a whole thing for this mom. So what is in your heart and what is in your hands? And the other thing I'm going to encourage you with is there are so many times when people in need, they don't even know what they need. So if you see a need, just jump in and take care of it. Now, if you feel like you might be imposing, then you might want to ask permission to do it. Just want to tell you that. On the other hand, is sometimes, hey, can I mow your lawn for you? And we do that, all up and down our street, just to take care of each other. So what is in your heart and what is in your hand? So I'm going to give that to you, and let's let you sit on it. I want to give you a couple things, and then we're done. Next month, just want to encourage you. I'm looking forward to this. So Megan Rangel-Ballar, who is a political consultant, will be with us. And we're going to be looking at, she's going to talk to us about pathways to political engagement. Now, please don't think we're going to go over here or on this side of the aisle. This is going to be, she invests her time in strengthening and training people like you and I to get involved. Let me start over. To explore how we might get involved in the political engagement and political, maybe running for office or commissions or councils, but how to get better involved. And she's amazing, and I trust her. I've been meeting with her candidly just pretty often now as we work with young people and engaging young people into the political process. The other way we say it around here is get them involved in the fabric of leadership in their communities. And how do you get involved here, and how do you get involved there? And it doesn't matter whether you're over here or over here. Get involved. This is America. We should be involved in. So Megan's going to be amazing, and it's going to be great. So pathways to political engagement. Some of you have already tried to run for office. Others of you haven't. That's okay. This is not about just running for office. This is about how do you get engaged and how do you get involved. And again, pardon me? Oh, it's just so much fun. I'm going to stop. I was going to say something real. Yeah, I still have all the Facebook posts about you. So, hey, you better be nice to me. No. So pathways to political engagement. I want to encourage you to, City Minister Network is a 501c3 faith-based nonprofit. Our crab feed is in 2 weeks, and we're moving along with that. So please get a ticket and or sponsor a table. That'd be awesome. And participate with us. We're 2 weeks away. And then the last thing, there are incredible groups of you in the room. So there's some upcoming community events. Ruby from Patterson, they're putting together in Patterson. If you'd like to have a community table at one of their community wellness day on May 2nd. Where's Ruby? Right there. Just come see Ruby. Other than that, there are other events back there, but please make your way back there. I'm going to thank God for us. And then please stay around and talk. This is, again, time to talk. The team is right here. Jill is right there as well, and so is Courtney. So if you have some specific questions around topic, Lord, thanks for this time together. And thank you for this team of people. Thank you for Stanislaus County that is investing in the care of these 413 children and their families. And Lord, as human beings, we all deserve to be loved as we would want to be loved. So thank you for them. In my Lord's name I pray. Amen. You all have a good morning.